Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. A very warm welcome to you all. I am Hani from Cygnet.One's marketing team, and I will be your host for today's session. The session will be on from material master chaos to intelligence, how smarter governance improves procurement, compliance, and ERP data quality. In today's discussion, we will explore how enterprises can move from repeated material master cleanup to smarter governance, better onboarding, controls, stronger compliance readiness, and clearer ERP data. The session will also touch upon how issues like duplicate material codes, vendor duplication, incorrect HSN mapping, GST classification gaps, pricing variance, and inconsistent material data can impact procurement, finance, tax, compliance, supply chain, and ERP teams. Let me introduce you to our excellent panel. First, we have Mrs. Madhavi Isanaka, SVP and Chief Digital Officer at Adani Cement, leading enterprise scale agentic AI transformation across business operations. With prior leadership roles at Adani Green Energy, Adani New Industries, Rivian Automotive, and Cummins. She brings deep digital transformation expertise with a Silicon Valley innovation mindset. Next, we have Mr. Anil Rajanala, business head at Cygnet.One. He works closely with enterprises across tax, procurement, finance, compliance, ERP, and digital transformation. In this webinar, he will share business perspectives on master material governance, vendor onboarding, compliance control, and improving ERP data quality. We also have Mr. Rahul Bohra, VP Products at Cygnet.One. He is a tech stack architect and techno-functional expert with strong experience in enterprise integrations, product implementation, and onboarding 100 plus enterprises across BFSI, NBFC, manufacturing, FMCG, and other sectors. He will be leading the panel conversation and taking us through the solution walkthrough. Meanwhile, during this session, if you have any questions, you can drop in the Q&A chat box. I am publishing few polls. Please respond on the same. Yeah, the poll will be visible on your screen. I have shared another poll. Rahul, handing over to you for the Q&A and walkthrough.
Yeah, thanks, Anil. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Thanks. So, before we get into the Q&A with the panels, I just want to say that this topic, especially the metal master governance, is one of that most enterprise have lived with as a background problem for years. So today we have Madhavi ma'am, who has seen this from the inside of one of India's largest industrial group, and Anil sir, who has seen it across dozens of enterprise engagement. We are hearing this from many of the organizations, being to the manufacturing, auto, FMCG segments, and all. And I think what all you will hear today is very practical and very honest about what it is takes to how we can actually solve this. So, Madhavi ma'am, my first question to you would be. So as an enterprise today are spending significantly on ERP modernization, AI, analytics, but we consistently see that these initiatives struggle to deliver full value because of the foundational data, the master data that has the issues that were never cleaned up. Obviously, on an yearly basis, some activities getting done, but it's not getting up to the mark. So my question to you is, from your perspective at Adani Cement, uh, or the scale with the Adani Group is, why is material master governance becoming so critical in today's digital transformation journey? And what makes it a priority now rather than something that can wait?
Rahul, thank you for having me today, and good afternoon to everyone who is participating. Obviously, historically, material master was viewed as operational necessity from a procurement perspective for managing inventory perspective. But I'll give you a real world use case. You asked Adani Cement, so I'll start there on the use case. So we just got a request. This particular business is a $5 billion, roughly 40,000 crore business. We were put together through a series of acquisitions. And we have, obviously, when we say series of acquisitions, all our master data is not unified, the same thing, even though it is cement. So we had a request, actually, hey, we unified this. All I want to do, Madhavi, is when the order comes in, you automatically decide and allocate it to the right place, one of the 1,500 warehouses we have or 56 plants we have, you decide and allocate. Because today on the ground, there is so much bias because they want to assign it to their own plants, their own transporters. Hence, a lot of inefficiency. Cement is traveling much more distance than it should, and it is costing us more and cutting into our operational margins. So you think it's very easy. Order is coming in. All I have to do is like assign it to the plant. How hard could it be? Anybody could write a program. But the part number that you get the order in and the part number it is manufactured or the part number that is stored in the warehouse, because of the acquisitions, because of the history, they're all different. Not only that, when you assign it like that, a part has associated pricing to it, right? And it goes into actually how you do the accounting, like how much revenue you got, how much margin you're making, right? So it impacts whole host of things. The fact that the 7 types of cement we sell have actually over 750 variations, we simply cannot do it. Not only on top of it, right? When you assign a particular plant, it goes with a certain bag, and our bags have so many variations. We only need like 15 or 20 bags, but we have over 700 bags, right? So now, simply seemingly small problem, you can see the amplification. They believe this particular problem is worth solving at least few hundred crores. So this is how it gets into, you can talk about like, actually, if you go to ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, your favorite tool, It tells you actually, hey, you need to kind of operational efficient, working capital management, AI readiness, blah, blah, blah. But this is the practical reality on the art of possible with forecasting, with agents doing your work. Art of possible is a whole lot on the top layer right now, but the underpinnings need to be right on the data side. That is why whatever we are calling data governance is much more important right now, because the art of possible on the top layer to add value is dramatically increasing.
So you just described something which we are also hearing from the different segments. And I mean, the cleanup happens, but the problem comes back. It is almost like a cycle. I mean, every month, every quarter, or every year you do it, it is getting piled up. And it's very difficult. Obviously, it underline, as you mentioned, it underline factors your the revenue side and also the tax and the compliance side, also from the ERP compliance side and all. So my question is about breaking the cycle. What kind of control should enterprise build at the point of material creation, at the time of vendor onboarding, or at the classification, so that these gaps never enter the systems in the first place, rather than being fixed at the fact initially when it is being raised?
Great. I come from auto and industrial manufacturing sector in the back end. So let me give you 30 seconds of why it's hard. What's at the root of the problem, right? Because it's not a one-time thing. In the engineering background, actually, whether you're making a part or something, the rule says every time form, fit, or function changes of a particular part, you need to give it a new number, right? So, and then there is so basically you are editing the drawing. Do I give it a new number or not? Oh, I'm actually having a 5 horsepower motor and I'm changing the color of the thing. Do I give a new part number or not? Right. So when you give a new part number, obviously like form, fit, or function changes, you need to give it a new part number. That means if it is pink color versus white color, yes, it will have a different part number. Can I use it kind of like alternatingly? Absolutely, right? So if I go to a new supplier, do I need a new part number? So when I come up with a new version of that particular thing, because one of the screws, the material of the screw changed. Yeah. Do I need a new part number? Absolutely. Is my price changing? Absolutely no. So people think actually once I have a part number, that is your material code. Material code is a material code. Last year I bought it. What is so big about it, right? So this whole concept of actually managing the parts and the changes, each of our vendors is going through, whether it is your internal parts or external parts, right? So there is a concept of like actually, hey, alternate part, substitute part, supersession means actually I replace this with a new nut and bolt, hence it goes through different kind of testing. So there is a supersession concept. And there is interoperability, obviously, is tested at every time. So it's not like one-time thing, because even if you bought that thing, something in that part is changing in this changing world. So when we talk about governance, right, you are not governing the row. Once you put it in a system, it's going to stay there. But you have to govern and make sure the relationships and linkages through the changes are very clearly maintained. Right? So hopefully that tells, like that relationships, that's what tells you, hey, when my 5 horsepower motor that I usually buy from Siemens is not available because of the high demand, can I buy ABB? Yeah. So, hey, like 5 horsepower is absolutely not available. Can I put in 5.2 or 5.5 horsepower motor, right? So that is why this world is not actually one-time fixed thing, right? So master data people talk about as a good data, bad data. There is no such concept. It's constantly evolving data. But if your processes, depending on how you are monitoring it, either the problem kind of like either the data scales the problems. That a cement example I gave you, I cannot auto allocate, hence I'm losing a few hundred crores. And the good data and the practices around it drives the transformation, right? So that's at the bottom of that.
Yeah, and we also see that now the technology is evolving, AI is also coming into picture. So we understand the semantic layer, we understand how the AI system functions. So one of a key conversation which every enterprise is having, the garbage in, garbage out. So if we want to clean our existing master, obviously, if it is already junk, then the junk output will come. So AI is only as the good as the data it can when it works with. So from your perspective, ma'am, when it comes especially to metal master data, what should enterprise focus on to make their data more reliable, standardized, genuinely ready for AI because of the new age culture which is happening? And what does AI ready material master data actually look like from your perspective?
So see, yeah, I think now we all know actually, if I want, AI is nothing but like we are training a mathematical model using data to behave like what it thinks. So when you get the data, you split it into train data, test data, train data, test data, and then you put the model into production, whether you are demand planning or planning for inventory and all that. So unless your data is clean, that means it's kind of got a good definitions on it, it's consistent, it's complete, you can have data quality KPIs around it. And nowadays, there is a new concept of context around the data, right? And I talked about all the relationships, like you have like old part, new part, like, right? I mean, think about a simple example like a phone. Phone is a phone, but then you can buy a 128 GB phone, 265, 56 GB phone, or it can come in like black color, silver color, pink color, brown color, whatever, right? So that comes from the factory. So making sure like they are different, but they're not like they can use alternatingly. It's a preferential thing, but it doesn't hurt the function of it, right? So the data that we train the models need to be complete, consistent, context-based, and governed. That means actually all this should be continuously kind of cleansed and relationships maintained. So in the past, we used to think about actually, hey, I'm going to go in there and clean the data. And after a few months or a year, I'm frustrated that it's again fleeting thing, right? So now we know every time you're procuring something, you are creating a new part, you are actually expanding your business, or the simple time lapse will actually require you to continuously do this process. So that's a big mindset shift we want, because the usage of data through AI, the level of benefits are humongous. That's why now there is more focus required, because if you get that, it's not simply enough if I know I'm going to buy this pump, right? What is the pump type? What is its capacity? Who is the manufacturer? Where exactly I'm using this pump? What is the criticality of that pump in that particular usage? What is the industry category? These are kind of examples of all the context you need on that pump for us to be able to use in the AI, right? So that's why it's not a data cleansing strategy. So data for AI is a value extraction strategy, right? So don't think about your material master management as a data cleansing activity. Think about like how it will help drive the value extraction out of these underpinnings.
Yeah, and rightly mentioned, ma'am. And for any manufacturing or any industry, I mean, the material is one of the key component. I mean, once you get it, then you will sell it. So from the sales side, we have seen that this doesn't make. I mean, that's not a problem because the SKUs and all you derive. But when you procure, there's always a challenge when it comes to buying, and also when. I mean, like Adani, I mean, large company, it's growing continuously. And when you see your new acquisitions, new plant, new business units, operations across multiple locations, it keep on changing. And each of these comes with its own ERP also, its own naming conventions, its own procurement practices. Cement might have different practice, enterprise might have different practice to work on that. So standardizing material master data across all of these without disrupting your ongoing operation challenge is obviously generally a very big task. So from your perspective, how should any enterprise approach this? What have you seen work? Because you work with Adani, a lot of amalgamation, a lot of the acquisitions are happening. And what have you seen which has failed, which has not been succeeded from your point, ma'am?
I gave an example of the part that we originate to sell. But then, like in the pump example, same thing on a supplier side also, they are continuously changing the part number. And we came through acquisition. So everything we buy obviously there is some small modification whenever supplier makes, it needs to have a part number change on our side also, right? So having multiple acquisitions, multiple regions, multiple applications of the same part, we will have quite a few variations for the same master data, right? So people think, hey, when I explain actually, hey, we acquired companies like Ambuja, ACC, Penna, Sangi, Orient, and they all had different processes, hence the data is also different. People say, oh, let's do one ERP. Then the problem will be solved because then they will have all one process, So in today's world, basically you need to flip it around, right? You need to clean your data first, right? It's not a one-time event. So for example, in your ecosystem, there is a lot of context. You have bought the same thing, whether it is a pump or a fan or even a gadget, multiple times because some of the assets are 30, 40 years old. And in the history, how are able to identify contextually all the information you have in your ecosystem, which humans will take a lot of time and energy to do if you're doing manually, right? And have what I call really good governed data first. So fix your data first. You don't need to solve the ERP problem. You actually can get significant value in the AI layer while you can work on kind of core ERP changes every 10 to 12 years kind of a change. Yeah. So how do you kind of, like we were talking about, remove your duplicate materials? How do you identify the right taxonomy? So how do you have right data structures, right? How do you have the good golden master standards and making sure you have a system, whatever you call MDM system, a system of record to put your master data. These are all the normal things, but I believe actually where the world is headed is this is not a one-time activity. This is crux for getting any value. So AI is not taking over, by the way. AI will be assisting you dramatically to actually govern these relationships and govern this data. And that's what I would recommend, to look at mechanisms on how you can better define and govern the data to get the value out of the data. You don't need to run like 3-year multi-crore ERP programs, but you do need to run a good AI-assisted governance discipline to get you the benefits, right?
Yeah, rightly pointed out, man. And thanks for your deep insights. And I think definitely this perspective, those who are available online, all the ERP heads and the procurement leader will take back to their teams. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your inputs.
Absolutely. Just remember, material master is the digital DNA for the supply chain.
True. Very well said. Moving to Anil sir, I'll have few questions to you on the business and the industry side, because you've been discussing and working with multiple business leaders, talking to many industry leaders and all. So let me start with the compliance and the business impact angle on this. Metal master problem, we know wrong HSN mapping, GST classification mismatch. There is a gap in that. There is a missing tax attribute. RCM errors are also happening because of these. We have heard that. And these are not just affecting the MDM team, we know. So they follow downstream into the procurement, finance, compliance, ERP controls, everyone. So where do you see the biggest business impact? And more importantly, how do enterprises move from the reactive cycle of manual cleanup to something that is more structured and preventive?
And thanks, Rahul. I think, and thanks, Rahul and Madhavi for your addressing the issues. I think you have given it from the perspective of sitting on the top of the problem, whereas I have always sat across the table hearing to the various perspective. So I had a good opportunity to listen to you as a digital officer on the perspective of material management. I think the other day I was with one of the tax head of again an auto major, and he had a totally different perspective with his entire material master issues. So this helps me elevate the conversation from data quality to business risk and entire enterprise intelligence. That's the way I would like to put this thing across. I think the first thing which, when I keep hearing this, I realize that we need to have a change of shift in our stance. The traditional thinking is that material master is a foundational ERP, housekeeping, administration activity to be maintained by the procurement or master data teams. I think the real question is no longer who owns the material master. The real question is whether the material master recognizes, and we recognize, that it is a strategic control point. What we need to actually do is to get into a new thinking that it is the most critical enterprise critical point influencing procurement, inventory, taxation, manufacturing, compliance, analytics, and profitability. So if so many aspects are getting impacted, we need to understand that, where all this entire impact will start with. Let me take one of the first impacts that one can talk of: compliance and tax risk. Let's take the GST and tax determination. You incorporate or have an incorrect HSN mapping or material classification or tax category, you will end up having wrong GST, ITC denial, litigation exposure, vendor disputes. And on the top of it, there will be this DRC01, DRC01B, C, e-invoicing errors, audit errors, everything. The second part of the tax, custom duty. Presume if we incorporate incorrect import-export classification, country of origin, custom tariff, you will end up having custom penalties, shipment delays, wrong duty benefits, trade exposure. And the most critical part, which is the most expensive, Madhavi has been putting it as the forefront, the procurement and working capital impact. The same material created across plants, across divisions, under different naming conventions. And as a result of which, you get procurement fragmentation, inventory duplication, no spend visibility, how much you have done, and not even having, I would say, price clarification or price inefficiencies build up into this entire thing. Because we have keep seeing the scenarios where we have identical materials being procured, or they exist under hundreds of different plants and divisions. And we continue to keep finding out the same product multiple times without realizing its purchase value. And finally, the third part, impacting part, is the AI and digital transformation part, which you are talking about, and which we said it will be the core moving forward, where you have to do. But for AI depends on a trusted data. That's the most critical part. AI is as intelligent as the material master behind it. A single source of truth. So all that, and why I'm saying so is because if the AI is trained on inconsistent material description, if it is trained on duplicate materials, wrong classifications, you will only get wrong forecasts, incorrect data spend analytics, and not even have the right procurement recommendations for it. So the problem of a bad master, I would say, doesn't disappear with AI. It only amplifies it. So that's the whole part. I think there are plenty of other aspects which are there with it, but the impacts are largely around these aspects.
Yeah, thank you, Anil sir. I think you have touched very nascent point, which the uh, operation team under those who are regularly working on that, mostly who are facing this challenge, they, when you correctly mentioned about that. So we'll take one scenario that procurement team face very often, as you mentioned. A new vendor approaches, before onboarding them, the procurement team wants to know, does this material already exist in our system? How many other vendors are supplying it? What prices have we paid before? Without your metal master cleanup, I think none of those questions have a reliable answer. So from your perspective, how does better material master visibility help procurement team make smarter vendor onboarding decisions? And where does a solution like uh, the bridge flow fit into that picture? Any perspective from your side?
Okay. So I would take this vendor onboarding from two perspectives. One, of course, is before onboarding a new vendor, as you rightly said, teams also want to know whether the same material already exists, how
Hmm.
many vendors are supplying it, what is the price that we are paying for it. So, how a matter of visibility can help in my procurement teams. The second part which I have is before onboarding the vendor, I think it is also important to check the compliance aspects of the vendor itself. So one is the material he is dealing with. Second is the vendor per se, because that is also equally critically important from the entire perspective, whether his compliance is everything one can check, whether we can check whether it is GSTN is active or not, PAN hai, his MSME status, which is so much correlated with my material management, because then if he's an MSME, I'm tied up with that entire payment cycle. So I
Hmm.
need to understand that part, his compliance history, even if I can help to know the score of how compliant this guy is for me to do my business, whether he is not into that MCA of strike off status where he is allowed to be done business with, or he has got a past shady past or something, bank account validations, the penny drop or something. So these are the vendor validations which can be done. So once I have these kind of validations, it also helps me along with his compliance. It also helps me to even start giving a primary stuff to his credit assessment judgment, to the tune that should I be doing business with him, and then would come the rest of the part of what do I take it forward. And the second part which is there is most procurement teams today, they work reactively. There is a need, start looking out for a vendor. But ideally what one would want is that the missing is the look back layer. Onboarding
Hmm.
of new vendor, one should be able to answer a few questions. Does this material already exist in my organization? Is the material being procured by any other plant? How many approved vendors are available? This raises the question of vendor consolidation. Then, how many such what are the prices I am paying historically? This helps me benchmark the pricing across for the specific material and the entire thing. Then, is there a negotiated rate contract, alternative materials or sub-products available? So, without this visibility, organization often ends up creating duplicate materials, onboarding unnecessary vendors, fragmenting that entire thing. So, ideally, the issue is not procurement capability. The issue is the lack of material master, and a governed material master can provide procurement teams visibility of material. Second, vendor compliance score. Third,
Hmm.
MSME status. Fourth, approved vendor visibility. Historical pricing intelligence. And these are the list keeps on going. But a structured entire visibility factor is required. Once you know about the vendor of what he's dealing it and the vendor, then I think we should have a structured onboarding process where you can validate the vendor, bring him on board, and parallelly
Hmm.
have that entire material part also being validated parallelly, whether whatever this vendor is selling, is it there with me, what price he has been paying, has he been associated with my another plants of divisions or not, and relate to all those aspects. So comprehensively together it can be addressed.
Hmm. So, and so you have touched base on the various industries, various department, various compliances concerns which can come. Different, I mean, when you onboard the vendor, different kind of validations to be run before you get the new vendor or the existing vendor on a regular basis to be complied or not. So my question would be on which industry do you think should make this metal master governance either on their highest priority right now, especially given the challenges around the duplicate codes, HSN gap, pricing variance, or the multiple locations procurement, and why? I know it's applicable for all, but immediately from your point, which industry
I
should first
think
focus on that?
if you put on some 4 or 5 large parameters, large
Mhm,
SKU volumes, complex tax structures, multi-location procurement,
mhm,
regulatory compliance, and global supply chain. If you put these 4 broad parameters, then I would say immediately which comes to mind is pharma and life sciences. They have one of the most classification complexity is extreme, right from APIs to expients to finished formula, medical devices. So
mhm,
the GST rates and compliance obligations are huge. So apart from that, so I think one, pharma and life sciences. The second is, as Madhavi rightly said, auto and auto components. Their entire part to the high SKU volumes,
mhm,
multi-plant, frequent engineering changes of what she's been trying to think, plus price variation across plants on the same part is a chronic problem which one would have. And with the PLI schemes and exim incentives and all that, it becomes a
mhm,
huge, more complex issue. So, auto and auto components, FMCG and consumer goods, these are high transaction volumes with multiple location distributions, complex GST packs. And here again, like in auto, he will find over here same material in multiple variants, the tax structure changes. And rest of the part also changes into the multiple packaging that I am using for this entire product, the entire stuff changes. So I think FMCG, pharma, auto will be the key. But of course, it is critical to everyone, whether it is manufacturing, chemicals,
yeah.
retail, infrastructure, but these three would come to me first. So while concluding, I will come back again. Material master is not about housekeeping, data housekeeping. It is a strategic business risk and it requires an entire enterprise intelligence challenge to be addressed. That's it from my end. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Anil sir. What you have described is exactly the problem we set out to solve with the Metal Master Intelligence platform, which we are building. Um, Let me now take a few minutes to show how exactly this looks like in practice and how we are solving, not to be presenting like the slides and all, but the actual platform running on some the realistic uh, business cases which is coming from the industry. Uh, for a demonstration purpose, I'm going to use synthetic FMCG segments data where multiple SKUs are there. They have different variants of the product available. The kind of metal master you would find in obviously in the personal care or the consumer goods company, the more raw material, packaging, fragrance compound, surfactant. There are a lot of things. I mean, so I'm going to demonstrate that and I will let you know how this platform function in behind and see what all the key questions or the informations being shared by Madhavi ma'am and the Anil sir is getting resolved through that particular platform or not. So let me share my screen just a minute. Yeah, Honey, please confirm once the screen is visible.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Thanks. So, so to all, so this is one of a agentic platform which we have built based on the all the key inputs which the which came from all the industry leaders like Madhvi ma'am and Anil sir. And what we have done is that the systems gives you the exact things which we were talking about which material needs to be merged, how many of them are duplicate and active as a part of the active PO, how many of those are correctly configured and you don't need to do anything on that. Uh, how many of those where the HSNs are missing. And one of a key challenge which when we see in the Metal Master is the classification of the HSN based on the goods or the description of the product. So that's one of a key challenge which we see. So just to because of the short time, I have just uploaded one of a couple of files. We have a single option also available where we can run it, we can show. While uploading the file, what the system does is that it runs on the 4 practical analytical layers, run on simultaneous basis. So first of all, the normalizing the description, what exactly the description is. So if we talk about the large corporate who are using SAP, then there is a short text, long text, codes are being mentioned, descriptions are being mentioned. Then there is a material group also getting created, and the material master, which is the material code and all those related information where the plant and different different things are being part of that. Under the same thing, which we touched base during the session also, the pricing variance. So are we buying from the same vendor at the same price within the time frame what we have? Or it is a different vendor with whom we can also buy the same material because the price variance are better than the existing vendor and all. So it covers all of these where you provide your material master details. Hardly it will take 10-15 minutes for you to do that. And if you are already having 50,000 or lakhs of metal master cleanup to be done, the system has the capability to give you the output we will be able to give you this output in a week or in a week time by cleaning everything with all those nuances and constraints which we discussed. Will demonstrate also all those flags and all. So there is a PO value, there's a PO line item, long text, material group, material master with a short description and all. Once you upload, the system will identify and give you all these 4 layer which we are talking about: the normalizing the description, detecting duplicate families, evaluating price pattern, and uh, also the historically and also validating the HSN if there is any HSN is missing in this goods in this entire description. The system will do 2 phases of HSN mapping. First, with the existing set of data, where it will identify the near matching and the logic of that, and then it also goes to the CBIC and the WCO applied HSN repository. From there, it will also give, and we are also working on to give you the HSN rate also, which is the GST rate. But also we are working on that. So once you download the output, let me give you first the let me just download and give you the output in the Excel format. So instead of running all this in this, let me show you. So what we did. So the file which we uploaded was having 512 different total material codes. Out of that, uniqueness was 506. The platform is thing. I mean, every single code was getting categorized. So if you see from here, if you go down, 245 where there is no action required, which is somewhere around 40-50% of your metal master is correct, but still there is a 50%. 50 plus 50% plus there is an issue which needs to be resolved. And if you go down to if you go up, then there is an exact duplicate 103. I'll show you the exact sheet also. I'm just summarizing what exactly these 103 belongs to, and you will identify that what those particular descriptions, how the MDM team and how the MDM team and other team members write these particular code while writing as a best practice in their organization. Then if you see 142 is coming as a near duplicate. We are also giving the near duplicate identifications. And then there is a high priority part where that needs an immediate action, which shows 3. Why? There is a high
Rahul, are
price
you
difference.
changing the screen? Because I see only one static screen.
Okay. Just a minute. I think. Sorry, is this visible? There's an Excel which I'm showcasing.
Yes.
Is it visible? Okay,
Yes,
thanks.
yes, it is.
Thank you. So I'll just repeat what exactly it does is that when I uploaded the file, I'll show the file also what all those particular file carries and all. So, but when I uploaded the file, it gives the unique count. It reads each and everything and identified and giving you the bifurcation that 245 is the exact clean record where you don't need anything. But 103 where you need some work. where these are duplicates, exact duplicate. Then 142 are where the near duplicates items are there. And it also gives the key identification of those where you need an immediate urgent action on that, which is the uh, duplicate active, which is active in PO, which includes your block or non-standard or DUP, which is duplicate. These all are the keyword which usually MDM team mentioned in their ERP to discontinue or to not to use that. But somehow these active POs are available. It has not been discontinued. So those kind of inputs are available. And also the price anomaly, which we discussed, it also identify the price anomaly informations. And yeah, so then there is an HSN missing, which we discussed. So 15 of them with HSNs are missing. Let's go to all those 3 sheets and we'll see what exactly the system gives. We'll go to the first, let's go to the active tab. So these are the merge active, urgently active. When we say that means this kind of, descriptions usually the MDM team mentioned. And if you go to the long text, it includes the other information also, but usually long text are not visible on the screen at the time of creation of the metal mass. It is part of the system, but sometimes it is not getting, viewed by the MDM team. It also includes do not use, but still if you go and see which one of this is not a obviously it's an anonymized data, but it is based on the real indications which we have seen in the industry, that the material codes are active, but still material code are mentioned that we don't need to use, it's a duplicate or it's a non-standard, we have to block it, but still the active POs are running in behind. So if you go and check, system gives you the exact structure of the output along with how many POs are active in this and what exactly the agent will identify and give, that this MDM team or the procurement team has to actively function on these particular 3 things, which includes a DUP active, which is a duplicate active, or it's a non-standard or do not use kind of tags are already being identified, but still the POs are active. So this is more like a governance, I would say, governance kind of a part which is missing in this. Next, we can go to the merge exact, which we saw 103 records where which requires a proper merging. So if you see, these are the 3 different material codes are created. If you see, it's, but as soon as you go to the long text, you will be able to see the packet size 500 ml, 1 liter, 2 liter. So SKUs, or I would say, when you're procuring these material, the codes are same. It's same shampoo base mild coconut with a formula, mild formula derived with a package size and all. But the codes are different. So what the system is giving you an indication that these all comes with a same material group label, hair care raw material. You have created a multiple 3 different code for that, but identically these are same. These are all same. You need to just merge it because some codes are also same. You just simply go and merge it. So the agent is giving you an indication that you need to merge these. Obviously, there are more also. I'm just giving one example of the shampoo here. And it also gives you, it is not like a black box that why it is giving you the indication. It is also giving you the proper identification that why the system is giving you that these codes needs to be merged, where because of the merging, we need to merge, it is not going to extend to the PO date and the column values and all, because first you need to close this particular part, you need to merge these particular, and then the vendor, the purchase order related activity needs to be handled and all. So that's one of a indication if you see. Similarly, if we go to price high concept, yeah, here. So if you see, there were 3 cases where the system has identified there is a price high. When I say price high, so it means the procurement from the vendor at what price we bought has some variance on that. So same vendor price 192%, Now this uh, system has a configurable option where you can go to 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months of the variance that backdated the PO. If you have, you wanted to validate from what sort of the PO day, what sort of PO history, the procurement history. It all depend on you. You can run it on a 3 month, 6 month basis, or you can run it on 12 month or 24 month also. And it also gives you that these are the price high, and it's an immediate ownership belongs to the procurement team. So the system is giving you a clear cut indication that which particular issues or the decisions which needs to be taken care for a specific case has to be owned by which particular organization, which particular department. So the system is giving you all those particular cases. Now here comes, we discuss about the HSN missing also. I mean, HSNs are missing, how to handle those. So these are the cases where system HSN are missing. It is also giving you the suggestions, that there are suggestions based on the descriptions and all. The system is giving you one kind of a decision also, that you need to go and procure. I mean, you need to map these under this particular HSN code. Now, how to identify that? So let me again go to the system. And just so here comes the HSN SSC finder also. So where if any, mm, if the text team wants to identify what is the HSN code belongs to for this specific, where the HSN codes are missing. Obviously, system has suggested by some definitions and all, but the text team can also go and check it. So I'm running one example for that. Let's say retinol 0.1%, vitamin A, cosmetic. Okay. So this was the description mentioned in the purchase order, and we wanted to see what is the HSN code for that. And we wanted to make sure that this is the correct HSN code. So as soon as you click on that, it will go find it. It will also give you the AI reasoning why the system is giving you this, because sometimes the same descriptions fall under the different, because of the different segments, it may fall under the different chapters also. Will take a few more seconds. So you would have seen some poll also. Please make sure you are replying to those poll also. So it will also help us to understand what exactly the industry is facing, and we will try to improve our application more on that. Yeah. So here you can see that 330, and what is the confidence the system is giving, what is the GST rate it has, and the reasoning also, why the system has mapped this particular description under this particular HSN code. And also those who are into the export import segment, they can also go and see the WCO standard for these. So which chapter, what is the legal note against that, Indian custom tariff, and binding tariff information from from a rate point of view, why the concentration belong, because because these are some skincare material and also where the concentration percentage is also more important. Similarly, if we were discussing about the uh, cement. I mean, we discussed with ma'am on the cement side. She was mentioning about multiple different factors for that. So assuming that if it is a refactor cement mortar or the concentrate, if I directly go to the text team, they will say that this is cement. So the cement HSN code will come into their mind. But what exactly this belongs to, if I go and change this and give this context to the system, that this is for the cement industry, you need to go and identify. The system will go check it and will give you the exact HSN code for this particular refractory cement mortar or concretes. We'll wait for a few more seconds. Yeah. And here you can see that the confidence is also showing very high. What is the code which this particular belong to? And the system is giving an auto accept. If the system is suggesting this, you can simply go and accept it. Uh, and also the heading, subheading, tariff informations, which chapter this belongs to, any further, any changes which the GST department is giving, coming up with for a specific code and all. So all of these will be part of this particular reasoning part, and also the custom tariff information. So that is all we have from a demonstration point of view. Uh, please share your questions if you have anything.
Please feel free to share your questions in the chat box. We will address them all.
Yeah. And thank you, Anil sir. Thank you, Madhavi ma'am. One observation which I can say, I mean, by listening your inputs and from a uh, uh, from an implementer and from the business angle, uh, the key point which is still missing in the entire ecosystem. Obviously, we know that technology is evolving, things are getting better, but how to use that to make sure that our our way of working gets eased out is still somewhere. I think it is missing. We are using all of those AI solutions for maybe email drafting, maybe for different purpose, but where exactly there needs to be addressed and used is still missing. And thanks to give those particular insights, man, that why we need the AI layer to be implemented proactively, where we have lots of humongous data, and which is still missing how to use it and how to effectively make the life easy of the downstream for people who are continuously facing this challenge on an everyday basis.
Rahul, we have one question. Will this
Yeah,
integrate with ERP or via Excel only?
it has an API and it has a Excel based option also. For the cleanup activity, would prefer to go for an Excel based approach because millions of material code you would be having and you wanted to clean up that requires uh, the uh, the one set of I lookup, which is human in the loop, also based on our expertise working with multiple divisions and all. Uh, but on an ongoing basis, this is more going to be an AI agent which will help. You implement that agent at what stage, that is up to you. At the time of procurement itself, when the PR request is getting raised by any department, you want them to first search it and tell them that when you want to procure this, this is similar to what we already have in the system. Are you looking for the same material code, or it's a different one? That's one of an option where we can implement, or maybe at a centralized procurement department or procurement team also, when they receive the PR, they check it at the initial stage by going into the entire master. The agent will go to check it internally, will look it, and will give the 4 or 5 exact match or the near match kind of input to the procurement team, and then they will decide whether to go for a new vendor to be onboarded or existing vendor where the price variance and all will be visible for them. So a kind of a dashboard report will be available for them to see it whether to go it or not.
The next question is, how can organizations manage material master standardization across multiple plants, ERPs, and business units?
Sorry, I lost in between. Sorry.
How can organizations manage material master standardization across multiple plants, ERPs, and business units?
See, we discussed today also. So when any organization want to manage their metal master from a standardization point of view, the first point needs to be addressed is the existing data which they have. So there should be some data manifestation that needs to be to be available. Uh, hello.
Yes, you are audible,
Yeah.
Rahul.
Okay. I thought some
You're audible.
yeah. Okay. So See, that was I was saying. You need to first create an a data manifestation, and the descriptions, all of those things which needs to be understand by the system for having uniquely identifying any material, be it I mean, if I go to some AI language, then canonical naming structure is one of a part standard which enforces at the time of creation. So we need to first make sure that while creating the code into the ERP, the naming standards, which is the canonical naming standards, should be first created, and then the ownership, obviously, because ultimately then it comes to the ownership, who is the business accountability. It's a non IT accountability. I would not say it's an IT role for that, even though I belong from the IT side, but that is not an IT role, I would say. It's currently it's the IT or the ERP team where this is getting, I would say, delegated to them, that it's their role. But ideally it is not, because uh, ma'am come from the cement industry, and we know that in cement there is a crushed, uncrushed limestones are there, and these are different procurement items. IT will never know. Even from an FMCG point of view, SLS, IT will never know what exactly the sodium lauryl sulfate is. Uh, it could be same for them. So we need business domain knowledge, which makes them corrective governance decision at the time of creation. And third and the last, which I would say, don't fix everything at once. Start with some key point. I mean, start with some key. Maybe you start, if you have multiple plant locations, then start with a specific plant or the location to be post addressed. If you go for a big bang harmonization, it will not work. It is not going to happen. We have seen ultimately you create a elephant and you are not getting any mice also from the solution. So volume is only matter when you want to give it to the AI from an trained point of view. But when you wanted to do the standardization, then obviously you need to start with some basic. You start with something and then take it. That's my input.
Next question is, can material master intelligence be implemented along with Cygnet's P2P automation as a bundle solution?
Yes, it can. It can. If anybody is using existing P2P solutions which Cygnet is owning, then obviously, because it's specifically for the vendor master only, where the PR, PO, GRN, SRN, all of these are the modules which is part of that. So obviously, it is it is very much to be integrated in that particular system. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other query?
I think
Okay.
there are no more questions.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
will conclude the webinar here.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you, Madhavi.
giving
Thank you.
your key insights.
Thank you everyone for joining in.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
A
Thank
big
you.
thanks to our speakers, Madhavi ma'am, Anil sir, and Rahul for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
I hope today's session will be useful for you. So please feel free to write us in case of any query and follow our page, LinkedIn page. Thank you.